Good afternoon. We're just going to give folks a moment to come in from the waiting room.
Recording in progress.
As a reminder, when you are coming in from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are speaking before the entertainment division. Give just another moment to make sure folks are in from the waiting room and connected to audio. Good afternoon. This is an administrative hearing before the Mayor's Office of Consumer Affairs and Licensing. And once again, I will just remind folks to please remain on mute unless or until you are speaking or testifying before the division. Great. Thank you. This hearing is being conducted pursuant to certain temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today is Monday, October 3rd, 2022. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. We are joined today by the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Affairs and Licensing, Kathleen Joyce, and Director of Operations, Rebecca Fu. I will read today's agenda into the record. I will then ask who is present on behalf of each applicant. You will then make a brief presentation regarding your proposal, followed by questions by the division and testimony beginning with elected officials or their representatives. Please limit your testimony to 2 minutes and please state your name, address, and affiliation, if any. And just for the record, item number 2 on this afternoon's agenda is being continued to allow the applicant to properly notice the hearing. So if you are here for Park 54 Restaurant and Lounge, that will not be heard this afternoon and will be continued to October 18th. So now calling the only item on this afternoon's agenda, the applicant is Nautilus Boston LLC, doing business as the Nautilus, located at 300 Pier 4 Boulevard. The application is to maintain and operate live entertainment categories consisting of disc jockey and instrumental vocal music until 2 a.m. for 7 days a week, adding to their existing non-live entertainment license. In addition, the application is to operate a disc jockey on the outdoor patio until 11 p.m. Who is present on behalf of the applicant? Oh, Attorney Quilty, I see you, but you are on mute.
Sorry about that. Sorry, Attorney Green, Madam Director. Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the applicant. With me this morning is Stephen Bowler, who is one of the principals and is the manager of record of the establishment. Good morning. Good afternoon, rather. Good
afternoon. If you could please briefly present your proposal to the division.
Yes, be happy to. We have been in operation at the site without incident since sometime in 2021, a very successful restaurant at this location with indoor, non-live and CV and alcohol service until 2 a.m. Presently, and recorded music on the patio till 11 p.m. presently. So I do want to make it very clear to the board that the time frame is not going to change in any respect. These are hours of operation that are already in place, both outside and inside. There is a request to change to allow live entertainment. We went through a permitting process, and I guess unfortunately it was some time ago, and there may be some folks who were not aware that we had gone through the process at the time we did, but it was roughly in early 2021 through the 4 Point Neighborhood Association and through an abutters meeting conducted by the then Mayor's Office representative on this application. A lot of time had passed because we needed to go through the Inspectional Services Department process to allow the use, that is to say the live entertainment use, to be included on the applicant's proper documentation from the city, which once we acquired that in the recent past, we did make this application and did reach back out to FPNA and ONS at that time to see if any further outreach was required, and we were basically told no, we had gone through the process and we should be good to go. Now, clearly, I'm aware something has changed in the interim because we have been notified about 10 minutes ago. We were asked to delay today's or postpone today's hearing because of some concerns in and around the building. And at the moment in time, had not spoken to Stephen, who is on now. So we suggested we couldn't unilaterally, that is, our office couldn't unilaterally make that decision. But here we are today. I mean, the request is, the same, I suppose, that we would make either now or in the future. So I would certainly, at the very least, ask the board to take, testimony today and perhaps hold your vote if there is some further outreach we're supposed to do. But I do want to make it very clear that we did everything we were supposed to do and were basically told we're free to go ahead and make the application, which is why we did it. I think the board knows my office and me very well and knows that we don't sneak around trying to slide applications in without doing the proper process. And that's where we are today. I mean, we believe we've done everything properly. We've had the same, as I said, hours of operation. The place is very popular. We've had no incidents that we're aware of. Stephen, in fact, reached out to building management as late as last Thursday or Friday and was informed that that there were no concerns. So again, I mean, I suppose we'll hear what any concerns are, but I do want to let the board know we were unaware until this very recent flurry of activity that anything was amiss, if you will. So I would like to just allow Stephen to fill out, if you will, the goal here and the desire and the use as you see it, Stephen, and you are muted if you can disconnect there, and there you go. And just introduce yourself to everybody, please, Steve.
Hey, everybody. I'm Steve Bowler, one of the owners over here at Nautilus. And yeah, just to follow up on what Dennis said, this is something that we had been trying to do prior to opening when we opened back in April of 2021. And thought we were on the right track and basically got delayed for a variety of reasons. The retail spaces in our building were sold at one point, and that held it up. And then, just going through the permitting process to change our certificate of inspection. So yeah, our goal is basically to just be able to avoid the one-day license process, which we've, gone down a couple times in the past. We don't want to be a nightclub. We're definitely not trying to have live music here every night or anything like that. It's just something that we would like to be able to have from time to time. We've had private events that have wanted to do sort of like jazz bands, things like that. We have done a couple of DJs, and the DJs essentially, they don't bring their own sound equipment. They just plug into our stereo system. So it's literally the same volume and same, amplitude or whatever you will that we would have if we were playing music just normally through our stereo. We also have in our sound system the ability to sort of isolate each room. So the outdoors can be turned down separately from the indoors, or any room can sort of be, the volume can be adjusted if there's any issue or anything like that. So that's in a nutshell, essentially, what we're trying to do. Just trying to add the ability to have some of these live forms of entertainment as sort of an amenity to our diners and our bar patrons under the normal hours that we operate.
Thank you. Mr. Bowler, Attorney Quilty, is there anything further, or shall we move to the director for questions?
I would only say that these folks have been in the building here for since the 2021, early 2021, and as far as we know, we've had no concerns. And again, as Steve just pointed out, the volume and the uses are pretty much the same given the time frame that we're allowed to be out there. And it just gives him the opportunity to have, it's just a greater amenity, if you will, for his patrons, and avoids the necessity of coming back and forth to MoCal for a one day for an event or some such thing as that. So We think it can be operated properly and carefully so as not to disturb folks. And Mr. Bowler and his crew are readily available if there are any incidents or issues. And as just suggested, the sound can be moderated and turned down, independently one place to another, so that outside, for example, if there is an issue, can be turned down immediately by staff, in place in the establishment. So again, we're hoping it's just an amenity for the patrons and can be operated in such a way so as not to cause an inconvenience to the folks who live in the building. And thank you for hearing from us.
Thank you. Director Joyce, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bowler, have you applied for one-timers through MoCal yet? I don't have any record of you applying for any.
Okay, then we haven't. I know our general manager has sort of intended to do that, but we may not have actually ever, gone through with that.
Okay, and the DJ plugin would have to be properly permitted. You wouldn't be able to do that without proper permitting.
Correct.
So I'm not sure I fully understand what you mean, but yeah, our sound system basically just like a microphone or a computer can be plugged directly into it.
Okay.
If you have the use of any like DJ person that plugs into the background sound, that still is considered live. So you can't use that without the one-time application.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
How many residents in that building where you're located?
I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody present who could.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah.
106 units, about 275 residents.
Okay. And so, other than the separate rooms and sound control, what else have you done to help mitigate noise emanation from your restaurant?
In our lease, we had to achieve a certain decibel level between us and the apartments upstairs. So that was, part of the construction. We did have a sound engineer come in and do tests up there to make sure that we achieve that level. And we've had a couple of situations that are not sort of music related. We've had an instance where, chairs moving has been passing some sound between apartments, and we've sort of, taken steps to mitigate that. But just things like that, we've never had any issue as far as the music goes from complaints. And
so, Attorney Quilty, you said it was early 2021 when you started the permitting process.
Yes, ma'am. Was
this type of entertainment discussed at all?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
So there was a meeting. You're just saying people may not have known about it?
Well, I don't know what happened. We had both, and I know Mr. Reedy is on. We met with Fort Point Neighborhood Association, and we conducted an ONS abutters meeting. And I personally don't recall if there were people present or not at the ONS abutters meeting. As the board knows, certainly there are times on occasion where notices are sent out and people just don't appear, but we had a scheduled meeting which we attended, and we had an FBNA meeting which we attended.
We did have those meetings, and we did communicate with the building in a timely manner, and sent the notice out to everyone in the building, and the Jeremy who's on the call here helped me communicate with those people. And at that time, I don't know if they're still board members or not, but I did meet with a couple of the board members of the building in person on site, and walk through and sort of explain what we were trying to do.
Okay, and on the patio, like, how do you monitor the noise out there? Have you done anything? Have you done anything on the outdoor patio to help mitigate or monitor the noise out there?
No, nothing specific. I know just anecdotally, like the volume that we normally play the music at, the moment that you turn the corner of the building, you can't hear it anymore. So it's definitely not something that is tremendously loud.
But,
okay.
And it is controllable. I mean, I think that's the issue here, is that if there was a complaint from upstairs in the building, management could immediately turn the volume down. But again, I mean, we've had it at the same time frame, which is 11 p.m. As the non-live, just recorded background music, and we've not had any complaints about that to date that we're aware of.
Okay.
We do. Our system can sort of, shut down at specific times. So like at 11 p.m., the music outdoor shuts off automatically. Nobody has to do that on their own. It's an automatic thing that we have set up in our system. It can obviously be overridden, but everybody would know not to do that.
Okay, I'm just going to turn it over to Director of Licensing, Rebecca Fu, to see if there's any questions that I've missed.
I do not have any further questions.
Executive Director Joyce, any further questions from you before we move to testimony?
Yes, you can move to testimony.
Okay, before we move to general testimony, I'm going to start and ask if there are any elected officials or their representatives who would like to testify on this matter.
Good afternoon. I'm Anna White with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We've heard recent objections from the neighborhood about this location being granted a live entertainment license until 2 a.m. 7 days a week. We'd like the board to defer their decision until another full community process, including an abutters meeting, can be held. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam of the Chair, members of the board. Ana Calderon from Council President Flink's office. The councilor provided a letter in opposition to the board earlier on this proposal. We have heard from some neighbors that granting this application with exacerbate existing quality of life issues, with a 2 a.m. live entertainment being simply too late. We also have concerns about noise levels and the 2 a.m. closing with the live entertainment is a concern that we have heard the most. We also heard that there were not a good community process, so we would like to defer to Anna's White comment to have a full community process, as you know, it was just simply wait 2021, we are in 2022 now. Almost the year's over, so thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We'll move now to general testimony. I see there are a number of folks in here, so if there's a way we could use the hand raise function, please, and that way I can call on folks in the order that I see the hands raised on the Zoom. So the first hand that I see raised is from Michael, excuse me for mispronouncing local.
Michael Lachelle. Yeah, so my name is Michael Lachelle. I'm one of the unit owners at 300 Pier 4. There has been a lot of noise coming from the restaurant, not specifically related to music. I have a unit directly above it, but we had a lot of challenges with sound issues that were not being mitigated, dating back to 2021, banging of pans and who knows what else, but then also the chair issue, which was later addressed. So we had a lot of issues with noise coming from there. I just want to state this is a residential building. It's not, that is a commercial space, granted, but it is a residential building. And I can imagine anyone on this would not want loud music playing until 2 a.m. in the morning every night while they're trying to, rest and relax and enjoy a quiet, peaceful space. The big reason why we bought in this building is because it's quiet, it was peaceful, and we enjoy that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lachelle. The next hand I see raised is from Gary Cohen. Mr. Cohen, you may unmute yourself and please provide testimony.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Gary Cohen. I'm a resident. I live in 6K at 300 Pier 4. My balcony hangs more or less directly above the entrance to the restaurant. From my perspective, 6 floors up, I think you've been a good neighbor. But I think you need to understand the context of our responses as abutters, as residents here. It's a very narrow sidewalk or walk space between the building and the water. This is not a big plaza. It's a very narrow space. If you have a DJ there, inevitably people are going to want to congregate in that outdoor space. And therefore you're going to have a crowd pushing not under the awning to your building, but out closer toward the water. The other part of the context that I think folks need to understand is we're in the process talking to the city about a proposal to put a marina along that water's edge. And so we're looking at the addition of boats for overnight docking right beneath our unit windows. And so suddenly a residential building on the water with a very narrow walkway on the eastern side of the building is about to get a new abutter in the water, boats that are sailing from either locally or more likely from around the area, coming for short stays. And we're happy to have Nautilus and as a commercial occupant of the building. I think it's added to the ambiance of the area. The only question, it has to be for the elected and licensing officials here, is whether a narrow walkway mandated by access to the harbor is an appropriate space for people congregating due to the attractive presence of a DJ. I'm not even sure that this is okay in relation to the Harbor Walk people, because that's Harbor Walk space, and inevitably you're going to obstruct people walking along that space and having access across all of Boston Harbor. So as much as I admire Nautilus, and I'm glad you're in the building, I think this is the wrong location for you to be making this proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. If we could try to keep comments to 2 minutes or under going forward. The next hand I see raised is from Ralph Verney.
Okay, my name is Ralph Verney. I'm a resident here at Pier 4. I'm also the president of the Residents Association. I think Attorney Quilty, the process didn't go well here. We learned of this via an email that our general manager received Wednesday evening with the announcement of this hearing. We knew nothing about it beforehand. And so on Thursday morning, he let all the residents know, and all hell broke loose. And we had quite a lot of fun on Thursday and Friday trying to handle all the concerned residents and so on and so on. I think we finally got it settled down with the help of the landlord and the lease, but I think that the noise issues are still there. So I don't know what happened, but in terms of proper process, this gets an F, a big F. And the fact that the restaurant is in the building and why we didn't know about it is hard to believe. I mean, we got 106 units with the butters, and no one heard about this, as I said, and it was only fortuitous that our neighbors at 200 Pier 4 thought maybe we didn't see us on the distribution and forwarded it to our general manager. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next hand I see raised is from Alan Packer. Mr. Packer, you may unmute yourself and please provide testimony.
Hello, my name is Alan Packer, and I'm also a resident at 300 Pier 4. I live in Unit 5K, and I directly overlook the entrance to Nautilus. And I think I'm in a position to speak to exactly what happens there in the evening, particularly. First, I would say that Nautilus is a good neighbor. And presently, I personally have no issues with what they're doing there. However, the outdoor space is very, very small. I believe the applicant can confirm that their outdoor use is restricted to a single line of two top tables where the guests will sit parallel to the building. I believe that area is no wider than 8 to 9 feet before you start to get onto the actual harbor walk. There's no possible way for a DJ to set up and operate within the confines of the outdoor space footprint. They would inevitably be encroaching on the harbor walk, which is a problem. Also, I can tell you that because we're near the water, if people go outside to have a smoke, they would typically sit on the stone that runs along the waterfront. I can clearly hear their conversations. It's not disruptive, it's not a nuisance, but in terms of the traveling of sound, I'm on the 5th floor and I could participate in a conversation being held on the ground. So clearly music would be much louder, and I just want to say that I do object to the outdoor live music. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Packer. The next name I see, the next hand I see raised is from Nicholas O.
Yes, sir. Yep, that's good. Thanks, everybody. I'm also a resident. I just want to say that I'm extremely surprised to hear that you're not aware of any issues. I'm going to start with the fact of what Stephen brought up about the chairs, noise, and all that. It was my unit that had the issue, and that issue lasted for months. Jeremy, who's the GM, can attest to that, as well as other Pier 4 staff. And don't underestimate that, because that sound was keeping us up at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 a.m. at night. As far as and guess who found out what the problem was? You're looking at it. It was me. After months of that issue and keeping us up at night, having a 3-year-old daughter and 4-year-old at the time, I was the one that found out the problem. I had to go there personally with Stephen, and he can attest to that. And I found out what the problem was months later. As far as the noise complaint, let me talk about the fact that you made an argument that if there is a noise complaint that you would deal with it on the spot. Just the beginning of the summer, beginning of June, you guys had a private party. Music was playing after, like at midnight. I notified Pier 4 staff downstairs. They went, they told you, you lowered the music for a minute, you came back up, I called the second time. All this is recorded, by the way. All of this is recorded. They went back a second time. The answer that we're given is that, oh, we're sorry, we're having a private party. And we're having a DJ. So that should keep me up at night at midnight and after midnight, or that I would have to call twice downstairs and have someone go so that we can ask you to lower the music. And this is just one instance. This is just one out of many. The problem that I've been having over the years is that it seems like the Nautilus is not willing to listen and cooperate with us. And I would be more than happy to put everything on record. I have videos with sounds, I have pictures, I have everything. Thank you.
I'm just going to jump in. Attorney Quilty, Mr. Bowler, would you be willing to have another community process?
I think I can't speak. Well, I'm representing Mr. Bowler. It's his decision to make ultimately. I do want to apologize for anyone who thinks that as far as we knew, we conducted our proper outreach. And I'm not saying that everybody got noticed. These things, especially in high-rise buildings, are sometimes difficult because access is limited to the lobby areas a lot of times. So I do not know personally what happened. I didn't distribute the flyers. I know we followed the ONS guidelines for distributing flyers to the abutting areas within 300 feet. So apologies for folks who didn't know, but again, we thought and presumed that we had done the appropriate outreach and did it as we would have done for any other application. So, I don't know, Mr. Bowler, I think we're being asked to hold another meeting with the folks in the building. It seems to me it's something we should do.
Yeah, I'm certainly open to that. We've obviously had to wait 1.5 years at this point, so I'm happy to wait more if that would be helpful. The only sort of color that I would provide here, which is, from listening to everyone's testimony, there seems to be, I think, sort of a massive discrepancy between what we want to do and what everyone thinks that we're going to do. DJ does not mean a gigantic live performance with huge speakers and a huge crowd. I'm talking about a person bringing their laptop in and plugging it into our sound system and picking songs. It's really no different from what we do every night here. It's just that I'm the one picking versus hiring somebody who professionally does it. And sort of when we talk about doing it outdoors, it's really just that the music happens to also be amplified outdoors. So if someone is indoors picking the music and it happens to be playing outdoors, that's technically, by the guidelines, live music playing outdoors. And that's sort of really all we're trying to do. So it's honestly no different.
I think that would be a great discussion to have in a butters meeting, not at a hearing before me.
Sure, no problem.
I'm not in a position to be running that sort of meeting. And I think I'm hearing from people that they don't believe there was they don't feel that there was a proper process. ONS told you at that time you didn't need any more process. They're telling you today they would like me to defer until you have that process. So I'm inclined to defer, but I will sit here and listen to everyone, but in the interest of open discussion, this is not an abutters meeting. So it's supposed to be a public hearing.
Madam Chair, could I make a suggestion, perhaps? I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming that most of the folks with us today are living in the building. Is it a meeting with the building tenants and set up between ourselves, ONS, and the management enough, as opposed to another 300-foot outreach with folks who may not care as much as the people who live in the building? I mean, it sounds like it's people in the building. No?
Anna?
That wouldn't be an official ONS process.
Okay.
Our official process has to be the 300 feet and via Zoom right now.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, we can, between ONS and the executive director can determine what the next level of outreach would be. That being said, there are still a few folks on here who have raised their hands who would like to testify in the interest of an open meeting. We'll continue to hear from the folks who have signed up, but it sounds like there will be further process and a further opportunity to be heard after this as well. The next hand I see raised is from Julia.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Julia. I'm one of the owners and residents of 300 Pier 4. My unit is right above the Nautilus, the restaurant. And I cannot really be agreeing more with my previous neighbors, Nicholas and Alan. One thing is to think that the music is not loud or the noise are acceptable, but they're not. If you live right above the restaurant, the noises are not acceptable. And we have work to do and things to do. And really this is causing, in some cases, health issues, like in my case. So I just want to say that. Their policies are not really accepted anymore. So adding now music and what Mr. Bowley said about the DJ just plugging some in a computer. I don't want to be sarcastic, but I invite you to go to my home and sleep right there and listen to music, because maybe, when you are in the restaurant, like happened to us, that we were complaining many times, and they said, this is the normal noise of the restaurant. This is when you are in the restaurant, but if you're living in the building right above the restaurant, this is not really acceptable. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. And then I see a hand raised from Daniel's iPhone. Daniel, you may.
Hi. I apologize. I'm not on video. I'm in transit, but Julia summed it up, as well as Nicholas and Alan. I'm also a resident of Pier 4 at 2K. I would be the one probably most directly above Nautilus. I'm literally the unit right above it. I just find this, I think, I don't want to go on and on about the noise, but I just find the whole concept of applying to have a DJ 7 days a week in such an intimate residential building in an area with such a narrow walkway on the harbor, where sound, we all know that sound travels on the water. One of the best aspects of living at Pier 4 is to be able to enjoy the terrace. So when you open the terrace door, like one of my other neighbors said, you can easily hear anticipating conversation down below. I just really fear the concept of a DJ putting, and I get it from the owner who said, this isn't someone who's going to come in and bring speakers, but the reality is we're levels, and if the Boston social scene know that there's a day being played at 2 a.m., in the
Daniel, you're breaking up.
they're going to be lining up down the block.
Daniel, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. Yeah. We got most of your testimony.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got most of your testimony. You can submit the rest of it in writing. This is not an abutters meeting. I'm not in a position to negotiate details of the license. I'm the regulator. So I'm going to urge people to work with the applicant and have that meeting and work with ONS. this is not in a butters meeting. So
Madam
those
Chair,
details are things you would hash out with the applicant at that meeting.
and we would only ask that, having agreed to do that, that we work with Anna. Perhaps you could give us as early as possible a date, given your schedule. I know you have a lot of these to deal with, but please put us on your list. And
we schedule these as quickly as we can. This is a very, not ordinary Monday afternoon meeting, and we will continue to help businesses move forward in the city of Boston, but this is not the proper place to have these discussions.
Okay. Thank you for that. That being said, for the context of this meeting today, we have gotten through those who had raised their hand. Was there additional testimony anyone wanted to provide who has not yet done so? Anything further from Executive Director Joyce or Director Fu?
I have nothing further.
Yeah, either.
Okay. Thank you. And Attorney Quilty, anything further that you'd like to add at this point?
thank you. Thanks everybody for your time, and we will work with Mayor's office to schedule that meeting as soon as possible. Thanks you all. Thanks all.
Thank you. This being the only item before the division today, we will take this under advisement. Thank you all. That will adjourn today's hearing.
Thank you.